Hello, I am Minecraft Phenom 08, and welcome to the 51st episode of my second 1 Billion Iron Ingot Challenge. In today's episode, I plan to make a mob grinder using the mod Funky Locomotion. Now, obviously, the mod Funky Locomotion is not used typically for mob grinders, but what it does do is it allows you to move blocks. And I actually have a demo set up out back, and before we get going I should probably take a nap here because it is getting to be night. But I have a demo set up in case you're not familiar with the mod Funky Locomotion. Let's take a look at a few of the blocks I'm going to be using today. Funky Locomotion does not have a whole lot of blocks, to be honest, but it is a really cool mod. It has these frame blocks, which when they are beside other blocks, they will actually move them when pushed or pulled or slid or whatever. So the primary blocks we have are frame pushers, frame pullers, frame sliders, and like I said, the frame blocks themselves. Now, a frame pusher will actually push a frame structure, and I'll get to that here in a second. If you've never played with the mod, it's a really cool mod. The frame puller, I've honestly never really played with the frame puller, and I'm not exactly sure how it works, but I could probably figure it out real fast. And the frame slider, I typically use the frame pusher and the frame slider for my creations, but yeah, they allow you to move blocks. And so let's actually show exactly how this works. Now, by default, they actually do use some form of energy. They use RF. And so what I have here is a little system. I have 4 frame pushers. I have 2 frame sliders. One will slide the structure to the right, or to the, let's call it the north, and the other will slide it to the south this way. So I have buttons here, and what essentially will happen is if I hit this button, this whole structure will move to the right. So let's do that right now. So this whole structure moves to the right, and then these frame pushers over here, these 2 frame pushers and these 2 frame pushers are used to keep the frame slider centered, because when you use a frame slider or a frame pusher, it will not actually move the block itself. So as we can see, when I use this frame slider, the frame slider itself doesn't move, but the frame around it does. So the frame pushers are just used to recenter the frame slider. So that's a pretty cool mechanism. And just to show that this does work both ways, I can go ahead and do this. So one thing I should mention is the frame sliders aren't moved. Either frame slider isn't moved when I push this button, and that's because the colored side here is facing the frame structure itself. If I were to rotate one of these frame pushers so that the green was facing down and I slid the structure, I believe the frame pusher would not be moved. So let's actually do that real fast. There we go. So if I slide this over, this frame pusher should not be moved. Yep, that's kind of what I thought. So let's go ahead and put this back. This is basically just a demo here, just to show exactly what we can, or some of the things we can do with this mod. So I do want to go ahead and not do that. Oh well, you know what? I don't even need to worry about this. This was just for demo purposes. But as you can see, it did move all of the other blocks attached to the structure. And because these frame sliders and frame pushers, they need energy, what I have set up is a cryo-stabilized flex duct with a vibrant capacitor bank and a RTG, which will provide the capacitor bank plenty of power for all eternity. So that's cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use that in conjunction with another mod. And let's see here, actually a few other mods. But I'm going to be using extra utilities to spikes. And I'm going to be using diamond spikes. It gives player kill only items. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm actually going to be spawning and killing zombies. And that's because they drop iron ingots as one of their drops. So if we look up iron ingots real fast, and we left click on it, and then we go to the zombies, we can see that they will drop iron ingots some of the time. So yeah, I'm going to be spawning zombies and killing them with a mechanism made with Funky Locomotion. The building isn't going to be at this base, it is going to be at my fusion base actually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to teleport over there real fast, and once I get over there and I get some of the items that I need to build, I will be right back. Okay, so I forgot something. I forgot a few of the things I will be using today are timers. And I've used the timers before. I used them at CobbleCorp. If you haven't seen that video, that's a really, really cool build. I would definitely suggest looking it up. But anyways, I will be using a timer today. So let's grab a timer. And then I will also be using a few sequencers. So that's obviously taking a little bit to craft up. While that's going, let's go ahead and get a couple, or actually 4 sequencers. This is how many I'm going to need. Sequencers are pretty easy to make. They are redstone torches, and a machine base. I believe I have machine bases already automated, so I just need to do that. And sequencers are fabulous little machines that allow you to pulse out certain redstone signals depending on some different factors here. So let's grab a timer. And okay, so why is the timer taking so long to craft? That's really weird. Oh, I think I know why. It's because the clock here, it's it's had issues in the past automatically crafting. Let's see, do I have some clocks? I do. So I probably just need the torches and the base. I really don't know why this causes problems, but yeah, I already had everything I needed. So we have a timer here. Let's grab some redstone so we can see. Let's actually grab a redstone lamp. And I don't think I have that automated, just so we can see what some of the things we can do with the timers and the sequencers here, because it's actually really, really cool. Sequencers are really, really cool, and they're going to make my life pretty easy in this episode. Without sequencers, I'd have to build some convoluted redstone system to do what I need to do. But with sequencers, it's going to be pretty easy. So what we're going to do with the timer, let's set it to 100, which is basically every 5 seconds. It will give a redstone pulse. Let's set up a sequencer right here, and we actually need to spin this around. We can do so with a crescent hammer or another wrench. Okay, so if we open up the GUI here, we have 64 black dots. And this probably means nothing. Okay, so first off, the sequence length is down here. If I change this to like 20, for example, it will only go through the first 20 dots. And what these dots represent is either an on signal or an off signal. They're either producing a redstone signal or they are not producing a redstone signal. So yeah, right now it's producing no signal whatsoever, ever. So what we're going to do is we have a few buttons down here we can flip so that it would be always on or always off. Okay, so right here we have several different modes we can use with the sequencer. We can apply once when a redstone signal is received, and it will loop through the entire cycle once it receives a redstone signal. And this is actually going to be the mode that I'm going to be using, at least for one. Actually, for both of these, for actually all 4 of the sequencers I'm going to be using this mode. But okay, so if I set up a redstone lamp so we can see some results here, exactly what's going on, it should pulse very, very quickly every 5 seconds. And I haven't seen it pulse yet. Oh, duh. That's because I don't have anything set to be on. So now it should pulse really, really quickly. If we change this delay here, let's change it to 20. It should pulse for a whole second, as in each step should last 1 second. And my cat just distracted me. Sorry about that. Okay, I see what's going on. So it's not restarting. So I need to change how it's set up. Okay, when a redstone signal is received, loop the cycle once, restart if redstone pulse arrives. Okay, so yeah, this should be once every 5 seconds. It lights up from 1 second. Okay, so that appears to be working. So let's go back to once. I'm not going to go through all the different modes we can have here, but we are going to be using the once recipe or the once setup here, and that will actually work pretty well. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to pick this up now that you know a little bit how the sequencer works and how I'm going to be using it in today's episode. So now I'm going to fly over to my fission base or fusion base actually, and I'm going to go to the building. I'm going to grab a few things that I'm going to need to set this up, and once I have everything, I will be right back. So I am now at my fusion base, and I have this new building built. It is pretty much, It's very similar to the mob spawner building I have built at my main base here. And so let's take a look at what we have. In here we have a chamber that has mob spawners, and if we duck down to the basement, we can see that I have a mob spawner here and a mob spawner here. They are both set to spawn zombies. I also have an item system to collect the items, and I have a system to also collect the liquid experience, and that's in the floor in the form of an XP vacuum right here, which leads to a tank, which I have a storage bus on so that I can access it from my main system. Also in the wall here, I have a capacitor that shows me the input and output of how much energy my system is using, essentially. These numbers should always be the same, and just basically that'll show how much energy the system is using. So I have 2 mob spawners for right now. I could actually set up, I think, 7 more, I think, is the number I could set up. So in the future I might do that, I may not. So anyways, back there I have an area set up to actually work today because I need to build a system to kill all the zombies. So what I'm going to do is let's start building. So first off, I need a system to kill the zombies. And in here what I'm going to have is, actually let's build this up and let's knock that out. Also, for whatever reason, sometimes when I use my flux spore, it breaks the block so fast that it actually breaks it client side, but doesn't break it on the server side. So that's why I put a cobblestone block there and then removed it. Okay, so let's see here. Frame block. So the first step here is I want to build just a long system of frame blocks here, and then actually I'm gonna need to break a hole in my quartz or a fused quartz here, and that's because I'm gonna place a frame block right here. And one cool thing we can do with frame blocks is we can click them, and when I do that, you can see that it changes its texture here, and that means it will not try to slide the block that is up against this face right here. So we can put this up against the glass, and it will not attempt to slide the glass. So actually, I got my fused quartz taken away. That's not a big deal right now. So I'm going to have this strip through here. Let's go ahead and build this. One thing I will need to do is I need to close this off, and I need to do the one right here as well. So let's actually put that block of stone back, and then let me get some black quartz here. Actually, not yet. I'm not going to do that just yet. So, actually, let's just go ahead and build out the spikes. I'm going to have spikes on top, and I did not mean to do that. And, yeah, as you can see, they hurt. They do damage. It didn't actually hurt me because my armor's awesome. But normally it would do damage. So basically, this is going to be a spike. A giant moving spike. Okay, so now the underside is going to be a little bit trickier here. Actually, no, it's not. Because I actually have this floor built to be too thick. Because sometimes with the spike or the zombie spawner, it will spawn baby zombies. And we don't want that. What happens sometimes, well, we're going to get that no matter what I want. But sometimes what happens is the baby zombies will drop through the floor inadvertently. And by having a floor that is actually too thick, I shouldn't have that problem. I don't think I will have that problem. Hopefully that is correct and this works out. But my vacuumulators keep sucking up all the items that I'm creating as drops here. Okay, so basically this is going to be a giant spike that is going to move back and forth throughout the room. And this will be the killing mechanism. So over here we actually need to build the movement mechanism. And actually, I think I'm going to do a twin spike version of this. And that's because my movement mechanism needs to be a little bit wider than just 3 wide. Okay, so let's figure out how we're going to do this. Actually, I think that's more than I need. I think I only need 5 blocks. Okay, so yeah, I think that's good. So let's start to set up the movement mechanisms here. So I will need my frame pushers on either end of this. And I do need to rotate all of these around. So they need to point inward. So that is cool. I need frame sliders. And those will go right here. Okay, so that one can be to the left. And this one will also need to be to the left. Okay, so I need to spin one of them around. Actually, let's do it to the right because that's what I'm used to doing. Oh, shoot. Okay, for these, if you just right-click, it rotates it like this. But if you shift right-click, it actually rotates it without moving the slider face. So the colored face is still pointed down. So that's exactly how I want that to be. Let's set up the... Actually, I might want to move these closer together. Yeah, I'm going to actually move these closer together so that there's only 1 block between them. I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera because, yeah, because it'll take a second, and once I have them moved closer together, I will be right back. Okay, so I have everything moved how I want it. So what I'm going to do right now is let's lay down a few of the redstone blocks. And that's because I want these frame pushers to always be activated, and they are there just like before to center the frame sliders. Let's go ahead and set up the energy system as well. So I need some flux duct, some cryostabilized flux duct. I need a capacitor. And because this system doesn't use a whole lot of power, I am going to use an RTG again. So let's grab one of those. The RTG will go right here. The capacitor bank will go right here, and I need to configure that to be in right here. It needs to be out right here, out over here, and out here as well. And then the cryostabilized flux duct needs to run right here. And as we can see, everything's getting power, so that is good to see. Also, we're getting some power here, so that's fantastic. One more thing I need to do is I need to set up another spike here. So I can go ahead and do this off camera because it's literally configuring the spike to be the same as the spike over here. So once I have this spike done and built, I will be right back. And I have that all finished up. I have the spike all finished up, and I cleaned up the glass and the floor a little bit. Let's go ahead and test if this thing will actually move correctly. So I have this set up to slide to the right. Let's hit this button here, and everything looks to be functional. Let's make sure it will slide back to the other way. So let's go ahead and place a button here, hit this. Fantastic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up these buttons because I need to hook up something else right here. I need to actually hook up some Redstone Receivers is how I'm going to do this. So let's go ahead and set up a Redstone Receiver right here. And this one will be to channel 1. Let's go ahead and set up another. I need the other one to be a different channel. So let's get a different receiver here, and there we go. So let's put this back in the system and get a new receiver here, and should be able to do that. Actually, I think I need to do the transmitters first. So I have a transmitter set to channel 1, and then I have another transmitter here. I think what I need to do is place this down. Oh, I just needed to right click it. That's what I needed to do. So I have a redstone transmitter set to channel 2. I didn't mean to set them both to channel 2. I need one of them to be channel 1. So let's actually pick up one of them. Let's get another transmitter here. I should have a few that are still on channel 1. There we go. So I have one on channel 1. This one will be on channel 2. And then I need a receiver that is not set yet. Actually, it doesn't matter if it's set, because what I can do is I can shift right. Actually, I just need to right click apparently. I just right click this and it will set it to channel 2. Okay, that's cool. So I need to place, okay, so we have channel 1 over here. So let's do channel 2 right here. Okay, so those are the receivers. And now I need to do a little bit of counting. So, okay, how many blocks can this move? Can move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Should be able to move 9 blocks. Okay, so I need to keep that in mind. I need to travel down to my basement, and I don't have a full basement in this building, so I need to travel up and then down and down. So I'm going to set up the redstone stuff down here. First off, we're going to have a timer. This is going to be the genesis of my system here. And actually, I want to spin that around. There we go. That'll work better. And for right now, okay, so 20 ticks is 1 second. So let's set this to be... I'm trying to think, how long do I want it to rest in each position? I'm thinking maybe 5 seconds per position. So every... Okay, so I need to do 5 seconds times 9. So that would be 45. And then I actually want to multiply that by 2. So, and that's because I want it to move one way, and then I'm going to have it move the other way. So 45 times 2 is 90. 90 times 20 is, what, 1800? So let's, for right now, set the delay to be 1800. And what I'm going to do is I actually need a little bit of redstone dust. Let's get 3 drops here. Okay, so I'm going to have a sequencer right here. I need to spin these around. Okay, so yeah, I'm just... It depends on where you drop it in the block space. Basically, whichever way... So, for example, if I click in the, let's say, north side of the block here, it will be... The arrows will be facing to the north. If I were to drop it facing the west side here, the arrows would be facing west, I believe. So anyways, I've got my sequencers down, and I actually need 2 on both sides like I have set up. So for right now, let's drop a redstone block down to actually stop this signal. And because I'm getting so much stuff in my system. There we go. So let's grab a redstone block. Drop that down so we can actually pause the system. And then what I need to do is I need to get a transmitter for channel 1 on this side and a transmitter for channel 2 on this side. So I actually need to spin this one around real fast. Okay, so 1800. I need to keep that in mind. Okay, and I need to make sure which channel's which. Which channel will go first in my sequence. So this is channel 1. Channel 1 will go first. So that's something I need to keep in mind. Okay, so this is the channel 1 side. Let's set this up. So, okay, so this first sequencer here, I need it to pulse. How do I need to do this? I had this figured out in my head, and now it's gone. So we have 1800. Ethan, get down. Okay, so I think I've got this figured out. So let's do... first of all, let's reset the sequence length here. I want it to be... Okay, so I said I wanted it to remain in each block space for a minute. Is that what I said? Shoot. 60. Oh yeah, and I did my math wrong. So on the timer here, it should be 60 seconds. So that'd be times 20, so that'd be 100. It'd be 1200. And then there are 9 positions. I don't think hang on. what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out some of the math real fast, because clearly I'm not able to do this on the fly. So once I have some of the math figured out, I will be right back. Okay, so I think I have some of the math figured out now. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to set this timer to be 2000. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the system stop at each position for 5 seconds, and then it will move on to its next position at the end of each line. So as it moves to the right, it will have a rest period at the end, and then it'll move back to the left, and it'll have a little bit longer rest period after it moves completely to the left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this first sequencer up to have a sequence length of, actually I need 20. The delay is going to be, is that correct? 100? Yes. The delay is going to be 100 on each step, because that's 5 seconds per step. So what I'm going to do is, actually no, I need to half that. I need to have that be 50, and I need to increase this to be 40. Oh, I mean, yes. Okay, so this first, and both these first sequencers will be set up this way. So 50 delay, 40 sequence length. So 50 and 40 here. When a redstone signal is received, loop the cycle once. Further redstone pulses are ignored. That is exactly what I want to see there. And actually, let's change this timer to be a little bit longer. So what I'm going to have is, for the first little bit, I'm going to have every other dot on this sequencer until I have 9 pulses here. So right now I have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9, 10, and then the rest of them are going to be dark. So that takes up the first 8, 16, 20, because I'm going to include this disabled switch here. So what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to continue the pattern right here on the third, this one right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it'll loop like that, and then it'll stop. And okay, so there's 8. There should be, okay, so do I have too many steps here, I think. Because this would be 8, 16, 24, 32, 40. Yeah, so I need to actually increase the sequence length here to, let's do 42. And that means I need to change my timer as well. So 42 times 50, 40 times 50 is 1800. So just 2 more would be 1900. It'd be 2100. I can't do math at all right now. It's 40 times 50 is 2000. So 42 times 50 would be 2100. Oh my goodness. So I actually want to set this to be 2120, just to be a little extra longer and to make sure I don't have weird things happening. So now that I have the first set of sequencers set up, what I'm going to do with the second sequencers here is I'm going to set this to be once too. So when a redstone signal is received, loop the cycle once. So we're going to start out with this. We're going to set it to be the first 3 blocks here. The delay, it shouldn't really matter, to be honest, just as long as it's not too long. And then the sequence length, that doesn't really matter either, as long as it gets a slight redstone pulse. That should be plenty fine. Okay, so what I'm going to do is once I remove that redstone block, this thing should start moving. So let's see if this is actually going to work. And actually, it needs to count down completely before it'll work. Okay, so I have the timer set up to be 2100. Yeah, that'll take... It'll be a minute before we get there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go away until this timer gets close to actually ticking. And once it gets close, I will be right back. Okay, so it's about less than 15 seconds away from going, so let's move up here. And what should happen is this thing should move across the room to the left, and then it should move back across the room to the right. Let's see if that's going to work. So it should pause at each position for 5 seconds if I've got everything timed up correctly, and then it should pulse again and move. So I didn't see it move a second time. That is kind of concerning because it should have. Did it move again? It did not. Okay, so why are we not moving again? I wonder if I didn't break the receivers. Okay, so clearly something's not quite right here. It did move back to the... Okay, that's weird. Interesting. So that's not what I anticipated. I really thought it would work. Loop the cycle once. Restart if no new pulse is applied. I wonder if I just need to lengthen these. And let's try this out. And then, okay, it should have just pulsed. I'm not understanding why it's not moving. Again, it moves the first time, but it won't move the times after that. And I feel like it really should. Because it's on, it's on. Yeah, like it's giving a pulse. Maybe if I do this on board and not have transmitters, maybe that'll work. So I think that's what I'm going to try next is I'm going to try to set up the redstone on board of the actual monstrosity itself, and hopefully that'll get it working. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick all this up and I'm just going to move it upstairs. And once I have that done, I will be right back. Okay, so I think I figured something out. It's not actually a problem with my mechanism. It's my torches here. They are in the way. So let's see if it moves again. Sweet, it did. So yeah, it's just I had torches in the way, and that was just a dumb oversight on my part. But it looks like the system's going to work fine. Okay, so actually there's one more torch in here I did not get. That'd be right there. So basically it was trying to move, it just couldn't because it was being stopped. So it looks like this thing is going to work just fine. One thing I do need to do is I need to complete my quartz wall here, and I just need to leave basically a slit to where this passes through. And yeah, once I have that done, I will be right back. Okay, so it looks like everything's going to function just perfectly. So one more thing I do want to do is I want to prevent zombies from actually getting over to this side. The baby zombies from hopping over to this side. So one thing I do need to do real fast is I need to drop down, and I need to do just a little bit more work down here. I need to grab my crescent hammer or some sort of wrench. I need to wrench this right here, and I will need to wrench that over there as well. And then I'm going to place some spikes down on this side of the floor. That way, hopefully, zombies can't get over here. And actually, I need to grab... I might need some more spikes. So let's grab a few more spikes. And that should be plenty. Okay, so yeah, I just need to lay some spikes down. And I think I'm going to do 2 layers here, so I'm going to do a layer here and a layer here as well. But I think we're about ready to fire this up and see if it actually works. So I finally got the sliding mechanism to work perfectly. Okay, that's as far as it can go. And then it should start moving back pretty shortly. There we go. So let's fire up the old mob spawner once we get over there to do so. And let's see if this thing works. So I just need to change these to be always active mode. Let's see if we can't spawn some zombies and kill them. So it sounds like they're not having a very good time. Oh, they will be crushed. Oh, is it not going to move? Okay, I was going to say, I thought it would move into them. This is going to be cool. The zombies are not liking this, and these zombies over here are about to get crushed. I think this is really cool. Okay, it should start sliding back to the right here in a second. I kind of wish I had some popcorn. That way I could watch this thing all day. Anyways, so I think this is a pretty completed build. Hopefully it continues to work out pretty well. It looks like we're getting some drops. I'm not sure if we're getting experience from this or not. It doesn't look like we are. And that's because I believe the diamond spikes don't actually give experience. If we look at some of the other spikes, the golden spikes would give experience, but the diamond spikes give us items. Oh, exactly what I didn't want to see. And I know why that happens, because I have these blocks right here. I don't have filled in. So if I go ahead and do that, I should go ahead and not see any more baby zombies get down here. So let's find this. Cool. So anyways, I think this is a pretty completed build, and I really enjoy it. I will get just a little bit of iron from this. Like I said, zombies do drop iron ingots occasionally. I think it's like 2.5 times or 2.5% of the time. That's not very much, but whatever. I still think this is a really cool system, and hopefully you enjoyed it. So anyways, if you liked today's episode, definitely give it a like. If you enjoy watching automation in modded Minecraft, definitely consider subscribing to my channel, because I like to build cool stuff like this every now and then. So one more thing I should mention is that I have just over 500 million iron ingots. As of right now, my rate is something like 1 million iron ingots per hour, which I consider to be pretty fantastic. So that means like 24 million iron ingots per day. So I'm fastly approaching that 1 billion iron ingot marker. So anyways, definitely stick around and watch the series if you want to see me complete that quest. But anyways, signing off, I am Minecraft Phenom 08, and I will see you next time.